This video is going to be about abortion and about my opinion, which has to do with something called fetal transplant, which you never ever hear anybody talk about in the abortion debate. And fetal transplant is, in my opinion, the best solution in the abortion pro-life discussion. People know what Roe versus Wade is, but they've never actually read the law. So, this happened many years ago. I decided to read the law, and there's something called fetal viability. And it says it right here. Fetal viability is the ability of a fetus to survive outside the uterus. So the judge in the case had to make a decision. When is an abortion legal and when isn't it legal? And what he decided was to use fetal viability as the determining factor. So if the fetus can survive without the mother, then an abortion is illegal, and if the fetus is dependent on the mother, then it's legal. He made a tough decision, and it doesn't make abortion legal in every case. It only makes it legal in some cases. People think that it's a pro-abortion law. It's really not. Abortion is only legal in the first 2 trimesters and not in the 3rd trimester. But there's the other option, which is fetal transplant. And I'm going to tell you from memory what I read about this. This was a long time ago. The first fetal transplant occurred about 150 years ago. Well, let's look it up and see what it says. It was in perhaps the 1880s. I'm not talking about the first baby. I'm talking about the first transplant. It was probably a rabbit. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time looking for it, but it was over 150 years ago. So the other thing that I discovered is that the first baby born by transplant was born in the 1980s. So it's already possible, but there's 2 ways to do a fetus transplant. One is during the first week of conception, and the other one is once you get to fetal viability. At the points in between, it's very dangerous to do a fetal transplant. Basically, we don't have the technology to do it. Maybe the technology does exist, but it's either not generally known or it's not practiced, etc. So basically, we could change the law so that if someone wanted an abortion, during the first week or the first 2 weeks, they would go to their doctor, and the doctor would remove the embryo from the person, which might actually be an expensive operation, and problem solved. The embryo survives and could be offered to transplant. There's tons of women that would love to have an embryo implanted into them. And the second option is if you're getting to the point where it's the 3rd trimester. The first 2 trimesters is not difficult for a woman who is pregnant. A pregnant woman has more difficulty as you get into the 3rd trimester. Instead of doing a policy of abortion, these women could transplant their fetus to someone else who would like to have the fetus. I think it would be a better policy. It would make everybody happy. Especially, one of the arguments that people use with abortion is to say, well, what if a woman is raped? Or what if someone's 13 years old? That's like 1 to 3% of abortions. 97% of abortions is because the woman is just not interested in having a baby. Usually they're in their 20s. They give 2 reasons. Either 1, they think it's inconvenient to their life, or 2, because of the financial burden. Okay, if you have any questions or comments, please post below.